All right, let's talk about the Skittles lawsuit. So a resident of California is suing Mars, the maker of Skittles. The lawsuit claims that Skittles contains a heightened level of titanium dioxide, which they claim is a known toxin, which makes Skittles unfit for human consumption. The lawsuit notes that in 2016, Mars said that it was going to phase out artificial colors, including titanium dioxide, and they never did that. The lawsuit noted that titanium dioxide has been banned in France since 2019 and recently was re-reviewed by EFSA, and they decided to ban it as well. All right, so there's a lot to unpack here, and we need to obviously read beyond the headlines, because if you just read the headlines, you might just accept the fact that it's a known toxin, which is what the lawsuit alleges. However, lawsuits don't always follow what the actual scientific evidence shows, and even outcomes of lawsuits don't necessarily always follow what the science shows. So just because a consumer is claiming that it's a known toxin, that doesn't make it true. Currently, titanium dioxide is an approved food color in the US and is regulated to under 1% of the food's weight. So it is an approved food ingredient, and it is also listed on the ingredient deck of Skittles. However, they claimed that they couldn't read it because of the black text on the red background. All right, so there are a lot of implications here which imply that it's toxic. Let's go through them. So the first one being that Mars said they were going to phase out titanium dioxide in 2016 and never did so. That does not mean that they were going to phase it out because they thought it was toxic. A lot of companies do this for marketing purposes. A lot of companies have switched from artificial to natural colors because of consumer misconceptions and better consumer acceptance. Another reason is if other countries start banning a specific ingredient and a company just wants one formulation for different countries, they might change it just so that they don't have a bunch of different formulas. So the fact that they said they were going to change it does not imply that it is toxic. The second thing is that just because a country bans an ingredient doesn't mean that that ingredient is toxic at the amounts in foods. Not everybody agrees with EFSA's recent conclusions on titanium dioxide, and that includes UK's Food Standards Agency and Food Standards Scotland. The lawsuit claims that titanium dioxide is genotoxic. However, EFSA banned it because they could not rule out genotoxicity, which is very different from saying that there's actually evidence showing that it's genotoxic, which there isn't. The FSA's scientific advisory committees reviewed the EFSA opinion and determined that the evidence does not back the conclusions that were made. They stated that EFSA's conclusions were not justifiable based on the available evidence, and that this may create unnecessary concern for the public. This is also a great example of how different countries might come to different conclusions based on the same evidence. So just to reiterate, there is not evidence showing that it is a known toxin at the amounts in foods, and there's quite a bit showing that it's quite safe. Always read past the headlines, and remember that claims in a lawsuit aren't necessarily backed by the scientific evidence. I'll keep you updated when I hear more about this.